The wind howled across the abandoned valley as if mourning a secret it had kept for centuries, rolling over cracked stones and forgotten pathways until it reached the footsteps of Arian, who walked with a burden heavier than the worn satchel on his shoulder. He carried a secret, a spark of truth that could shatter empires or resurrect them. Every breath he took came with the weight of destiny pressing against his ribs, a reminder that the path he had chosen was no longer his own but woven into the fabric of a prophecy whispered long before he was born. The shadows grew taller as dusk pulled its veil across the sky, and with each passing moment Arian felt time slipping like sand between his trembling fingers, urging him forward toward the ancient ruins that sprawled at the center of the valley like the bones of a forgotten god. He paused only once, brushing dust from the carved symbol etched into a fragment of stone he carried, a symbol identical to the one marked on his forearm since childhood, a birthmark he had once believed to be nothing more than fate's careless paintbrush but now understood as the stamp of destiny itself. As he stepped deeper into the ruins, the air thickened, humming with a distant energy that prickled against his skin like static, and though fear clawed at the edges of his courage, something brighter whispered within him, an unyielding spark that refused to die, even when the world grew cold. Memories flooded him, the elder's warning, the burning village, the echo of his mother's final words urging him to seek truth where the world had forgotten it, to find power not in swords or armies but in understanding the ancient pulse that once connected all living things. Arian clenched his jaw, promising himself he would not fail her, even if every step forward felt like stepping deeper into a storm he could not yet see. Suddenly, the earth trembled beneath his feet, and a low rumble unfurled across the valley, sending loose stones skittering like frightened insects. Arian steadied himself as the ruins began to glow with a faint blue light, threads of energy weaving between the carved pillars like awakened veins, pulsing with a heartbeat older than the mountains themselves. His breath hitched as the ground split open ahead of him, revealing a staircase descending into darkness, yet illuminated by the same ethereal glow, pulling him, inviting him, toward the unknown. Arian felt the cool air rising from below, carrying whispers that curled around his ears in languages he did not know but somehow understood in his bones. Return, awaken, remember, he exhaled shakily, gripping the satchel that held his only map, though now it felt almost pointless. The ruins were guiding him, shaping his path with a will that felt alive. His pulse thundered as he descended the staircase one careful step at a time, every echo bouncing like a heartbeat against the hollow stone walls that seemed to stretch infinitely. At the bottom, he discovered a massive chamber where light pooled like molten stars, swirling across the ground in patterns that shifted as if responding to his presence. A carved monolith towered at the center, its surface alive with drifting symbols that rotated and shifted like constellations. Arian approached it slowly, breath drawing shallow, each step sinking him deeper into a sense of revelation he couldn't quite grasp. The monolith pulsed once, twice, and then a wave of energy burst outward, washing over him with a warmth that made his knees buckle. He collapsed, palms pressed against the glowing floor, eyes wide as visions blazed in his mind. An empire born from light, then drowned in shadows, heroes who rose and fell, leaving only echoes, a great power sealed beneath the valley, rotting, waiting, dreaming. His heart raced, and he gasped as the vision shifted to him standing in the ruins, him holding the monolith's core, him choosing between salvation and destruction. When the vision faded, Arian found himself trembling, drenched in cold sweat, yet somehow more certain than ever. The prophecy was real, his role was real, and the danger rising across the kingdoms was no distant rumor, it was a storm that had already begun to spread like wildfire beneath the earth. As he slowly climbed back to his feet, a deep resonance hummed behind him, and he turned to see a figure stepping from the shadows, cloaked in ragged black fabric, their eyes glimmering like fractured obsidian. Arian's breath caught as the figure spoke in a voice both calm and menacing, a voice that vibrated with ancient authority. "You should not have come here, child of the mark," the stranger said, circling him like a predator tasting the air. "Destiny is not a toy for the unprepared, and what sleeps beneath us must not be disturbed." Arian steadied himself, though fear licked at his spine like fire. "I have no choice," he replied softly. "The world is changing. I saw what's coming." The figure paused, studying him with an expression unreadable beneath the hood. "Then you understand," the voice murmured, low and unsettling, "that awakening this power may cost you everything you have ever loved." Arian swallowed hard, but he did not falter. "If I do nothing," he said, "everything I love is lost anyway." The stranger tilted their head, and then smiled, slow, thin, dangerous. "Very well," they whispered. "Then your journey truly begins." And as the chamber's light intensified, Swirling around them in a roaring spiral, Arian realized that the path he had walked until now, every fear, every loss, every unanswered question, was merely the opening act of a far greater story, a story that would test his heart, his strength, and the very limits of fate. And though uncertainty loomed like a towering shadow, he felt a quiet flame kindling inside him, hope, fragile yet fierce. As the ground shook once more and the ancient power awakened deep beneath the ruins, Arian knew with absolute clarity, he would not turn back. Not now, not ever. And for those who walked this journey with him, for those who believed in stories that dared to reach beyond fear and into the realm of courage, he whispered a silent vow to keep moving forward, to fight for light even when darkness tried to swallow it whole. The storm that roared above the valley that night seemed to echo the turmoil churning inside Arian's chest as he followed the cloaked stranger through a labyrinth of narrow tunnels carved into the earth by forces older than memory itself. Each step sent small stones clattering ahead of him, swallowed by the immense darkness that sprawled like an endless ocean beneath the world. The air grew colder as they descended, and Arian could feel the ancient power humming beneath his skin like a heartbeat not his own, as though the earth recognized him, claimed him, as part of a story he had never agreed to write. His guide, the shadow-clad wanderer whose name remained a mystery, moved with a fluid grace that defied the jagged terrain, their presence both unsettling and strangely reassuring in the oppressive dark. "Where are we going?" Arian finally asked, his voice barely more than a whisper against the echoing void. The figure did not slow, did not turn, but their answer drifted back like smoke. "To the chamber of voices. To the place where the truth was buried and where you will decide whether to reveal it to the world or let it fade forever." Arian clenched his fists, feeling the faint throb of the mark on his forearm, sensing it responding to something, some distant pull, hidden deep in the heart of the earth. The tunnel widened abruptly into a massive cavern, its ceiling lost to darkness, its walls lined with ancient mural carvings illuminated by small streams of glowing blue liquid dripping from cracks above like tears from the earth itself. Arian stepped forward, mesmerized, tracing the carvings with trembling fingers, towering figures wielding light-like weapons, armies of shadowed forms collapsing beneath waves of power, and at the center of it all, a single symbol, the same one on his arm, radiating outwards like the sun. His breath caught. This is the story from my vision," he whispered. The rise, the fall, the sealing of the power. The cloaked figure finally turned, their eyes reflecting the shifting blue light like shards of a broken mirror. "And now the unsealing," they said softly. "The world has grown blind. Kingdoms rot from within. The balance is failing. The ancient power stirs because it must choose a new bearer." Arian swallowed hard, the implication settling heavy in his bones. "Why me?" The stranger stepped closer, lifting a hand to hover inches from his birthmark. "Because this mark did not choose wrongly. You were born of a lineage that once guarded the ancient power. A lineage nearly wiped from the world. You are the last spark, and the world desperately needs fire." Arian staggered back, overwhelmed by the enormity of the revelation, mind reeling with images of his parents, simple villagers, or so he had believed, who had hidden the truth even as they died protecting him. His heart tightened with grief, but beneath it, a fierce ember glowed. He had not been spared by chance. He had been hidden, protected, prepared. The ground trembled beneath their feet as a deep roar echoed from somewhere far below, shaking loose dust from the cavern ceiling. The stranger's expression sharpened. "We are running out of time," they said. "The sealed power senses your presence. It awakens faster than expected." They hurried toward a staircase that spiraled downward along the cavern wall, and Arian forced his legs to follow despite the dread gripping his spine like icy claws. As they descended, the faint glow of the murals shifted into pulsing waves of light, guiding them deeper until they reached a doorway composed of jagged stone teeth, like the maw of some slumbering beast. Arian hesitated, feeling the raw energy radiating from the room beyond, powerful enough to raise the hairs on his arms. The stranger stepped aside, gesturing for him to enter. "This is where the voices speak. Where the truth is loudest. Step forward, child of the mark." Arian drew a shaky breath and crossed the threshold. Instantly, the world exploded into sound, voices layered upon voices, whispering, roaring, pleading, warning, surrounding him like a cyclone. He staggered as visions flared before him, kingdoms crumbling, skies burning red, oceans swallowing entire lands, and in the midst of the chaos, a monstrous entity rising from the heart of the earth, an entity made of swirling shadow and fractured light, its form ever shifting, its presence suffocating. Arian gasped, clutching his chest as though his heart were being squeezed by an invisible hand. "Choose, choose, choose," the voices chanted, echoing through his skull. He saw himself standing before the entity, holding a blinding orb of light, the chamber walls collapsing around him. He saw the stranger kneeling, wounded, begging him to decide. He saw the world split between two paths, one bathed in dawn, the other drowned in endless darkness. And then the visions shattered. Arian collapsed to his knees, panting, eyes stinging with tears he hadn't realized he shed. The stranger rushed to his side, gripping his shoulders. "What did you see?" they demanded urgently. Arian swallowed, his voice barely audible. "A choice," he whispered, "a choice that decides everything." The stranger's gaze hardened, filled with equal parts fear and hope. "Then your journey has truly begun. You have touched the edge of the power. Soon you will have to face it, and yourself." Arian rose unsteadily to his feet, the echo of the voices still swirling like a storm inside his mind. For the first time, he felt the full weight of the destiny he carried, no longer a distant whisper but a roaring truth demanding to be acknowledged. And though terror gnawed at his resolve, he also felt something else rising within him, determination, fierce and unwavering, fueled by every loss, every lie, every unanswered question that had shaped his life until this moment. He lifted his chin, meeting the stranger's shadowed gaze. "I won't back down," he said softly but firmly. "Whatever comes, I will face it." The cavern trembled again, as if the earth itself recognized his vow. And as the ancient power stirred in the depths below, Arian took his first step toward the destiny that awaited him, unaware that forces far beyond his understanding had already begun to move, forces that watched him, hunted him, and feared the fire he was about to ignite within a world on the brink.